Okay, let's get into this idea. The thought that maybe the things we really try hard to avoid, pain, difficult times, that they might actually be, well, a path, a way towards something like real happiness. Feels a bit backwards, doesn't it?
It does. It makes me think of a seed,
Yeah.
buried in the dark soil.
Yeah.
There's this pressure, yeah,
Hmm.
a feeling of being contained.
Right.
But that's exactly where the potential is. It's
Yeah.
for unfolding. Maybe our hard times, what we call pain, maybe they work like that. The hidden, but really vital start for real change.
So it's not about saying the pain isn't real. That wouldn't make sense. It's more about figuring out its job, its meaning.
Exactly.
We've talked before about this Buddhist idea, dukkha. For a lot of people, I think that word just screams suffering, something bad to get away from.
Understandable. And yes, dukkha definitely includes suffering,
Yeah.
but it's broader. Think of it more like the basic unease, the feeling that things aren't quite stable, which is just part of being alive. It's not constant agony necessarily. It's just knowing that things change, discomfort happens, and instead of meeting this natural part of life with fear, the wisdom says, hey, maybe you can learn from this, grow.
Right. And this is where the story of Siddhartha Gautama becomes so potent. His enlightenment didn't happen while he was shielded from everything, living comfortably.
No, quite the opposite.
It was seeing aging, sickness, death, like the stuff nobody can really avoid that pushed him onto his path. So his pain wasn't the roadblock, it was like the fertile ground where his understanding grew.
And if you look around, you see this pattern everywhere, don't you? Think about an athlete pushing through that wall of pain to get a personal best.
Yeah.
Or an entrepreneur, maybe someone starting something new, facing failure after failure before finally finding success. The pain isn't the goal, obviously, but it's often just part of the process. You can't separate it.
And that story, Bethany Hamilton,
Wow.
losing her arm to a shark. I mean, you can't imagine the trauma.
Truly devastating.
But she didn't let it be the end. She went back to surfing. She figured out how to adapt and found this different kind of strength inside. Her pain, awful as it was, it became like a refiner's fire, not a dead end.
Which really makes you wonder, what is it about these tough experiences that unlocks that kind of transformation? The thinking we're exploring suggests that pain kind of strips away the fluff, the non-essentials. It makes us face the big wins, doesn't it? Who am I when everything feels shaky? What really matters when things get hard? What's my purpose when my neat little world gets turned upside down?
Those are heavy questions, the kind you'd rather, maybe put off answering. But it sounds like facing them, even though it's uncomfortable, that's where the growth potential is hiding.
Yes.
And this practice, Vipassana insight meditation, it's about watching that discomfort, but without judging it. Like you're just an observer trying to see where it comes from.
Precisely that. It's about developing this non-reactive awareness of what's happening inside. Instead of getting tossed around by the waves of emotion, you learn to just watch them.
Okay.
See their patterns, what sets them off. And just by doing that, just observing, the pain often starts to feel less intense. It stops being this huge, overwhelming thing and becomes more like a collection of feelings, thoughts, sensations that come, and then they go.
So back to that seed idea, the dark, the pressure, it's not meant to crush us.
Not at all.
It's more like preparing us, like a womb maybe, for something new to emerge. Our pain isn't the final word. It's often just the start of healing, of becoming someone maybe more resilient or kinder.
It's quite something to notice how often our first reaction is to fight that very process.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
When pain hits, we want to push it away, right? Numb it, run from it, anything.
Yeah.
But this perspective suggests that fighting it, that aversion, that's what actually keeps the suffering going.
That feels right intuitively. The harder you push against something, the more energy you pour into the fight and the tighter it seems to grip you.
Exactly.
We also touched on this idea of mudita, finding joy in other people's happiness, even when you're struggling yourself. That one can feel tricky.
It can, at first. But if you think about how we're all connected, to part of this bigger web, it starts to make more sense. By looking outside ourselves, just for a moment, we get perspective. It reminds us our pain isn't the only thing happening. There's still joy, still peace out there, even if we're not feeling it right now. It kind of loosens the grip of being totally absorbed in our own stuff, which pain can definitely do.
And then there's metta, loving kindness, directing that compassion inwards towards ourselves. I think for many people, myself included sometimes, that's the hardest part. We're often so much tougher on ourselves than on anyone else.
Oh, absolutely. So many of us carry these old ideas that we're not good enough, often from way back. Metta practice is about consciously choosing to be kind and understanding towards yourself,
Right.
acknowledging your pain without beating yourself up for it, offering yourself the same gentleness you'd give a friend who's hurting. And that self-compassion, it's incredibly powerful. It lets you see your pain not as some kind of personal failure, but just as part of being human, and maybe even an opening for growth.
I remember reading about someone's experience, losing a job, a relationship ending, just feeling completely lost.
Yeah.
And how they tried to just avoid it all, distract themselves. That felt so, relatable, very human.
It is. And the shift came with this realization. Only when we truly know our own darkness can we be fully present with the darkness of others. That's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our own struggles can actually make us more empathetic, more connected. When you face your own pain honestly, you understand other people's pain on a whole different level.
So leaning into the pain, as weird as that sounds, is actually the way towards healing, not running away from it. And it's slow, right? Not instant. It takes patience. And like you said, being kind to yourself through it.
And a key piece here is how accepting things can lead to this sort of inner alchemy, turning suffering into strength. The idea of dependent origination fits here too, how nothing just exists on its own. Our pain is woven into everything else in our lives.
That interconnectedness. It makes me think of that Japanese art, kintsugi.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Where they mend broken pottery with gold lacquer so the cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted. They become part of its beauty, its story. Our own scars, maybe the ones people see, maybe the hidden ones, they show our resilience.
Precisely. They tell the story of what we've been through, what we've navigated, and practically speaking, journaling can be a way to work through this stuff.
How so?
Well, you write it out, you look for the lessons, maybe see how you've been shaped, what strengths actually came out of those hard times.
So it's about actively doing something with the pain, not just sitting with it passively, asking those questions. What did I learn here? How did this change me? Were there any unexpected upsides?
Exactly. And alongside that kind of active thinking, there's mindfulness, just bringing awareness to the present moment in everyday life. It's not about stopping thoughts or feelings. It's more about just noticing them without getting tangled up. Noticing sensations, emotions, thoughts.
Yeah.
Just watching them come and go naturally.
It sounds like creating a bit of breathing room between yourself and the pain so it doesn't completely take over.
That's a good way to put it.
And then the importance of reaching out, connecting with others, sharing, listening. That shared wisdom, that support, it must make a huge difference in healing.
Oh, undoubtedly. We need connection. Feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling supported, that can be incredibly grounding when you're going through something tough. Healing rarely happens in total isolation.
Okay, so we've touched on accepting pain, seeing how it connects to everything, actively processing it. Now, this almost paradoxical idea that embracing the thing we resist actually frees us. The Buddhist concept of the middle way comes up here, finding that balance.
It's a really interesting path to think about, navigating between those extremes. When pain shows up, we tend to either shut it down completely or get totally swamped by it, right?
One or the other.
The middle way suggests something else, a balance. Not clinging on to the suffering, but also not desperately trying to shove it away. Approaching it with equanimity, like watching a river flow.
Yeah.
You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't get swept away.
And that ties into the psychological idea of radical acceptance, doesn't it? Just acknowledging reality as it is without fighting it or judging it.
Exactly.
It's not saying you like the pain or wish it was there, but just accepting that right now it is there.
Precisely. And when you do that, denial starts to lose its power. You free up all that energy you were using to fight reality. And then you can start to see, okay, how can I move forward? What changes can I make?
Viktor Frankl's story, his time in the concentration camps. It's such an intense example of this, finding purpose even in that hell.
It's astounding, isn't it?
It wasn't about the pain disappearing, but about finding meaning within it. That meaning became his anchor.
It really shows the incredible resilience humans are capable of and how vital meaning is, especially when things are terrible. It shows how pain, when you can connect it to a purpose, really can spark transformation.
And mindfulness comes back again here, but this time as a way to consciously turn towards the pain instead of the usual flinching away. That Tibetan practice, Tonglen, breathing in other suffering, breathing out relief, that's powerful stuff.
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Why would you deliberately take on suffering?
Right.
But Tonglen is really about cultivating deep compassion.
Yeah.
It dissolves that feeling of me versus them. It reminds us we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And even just adapting it for yourself, breathing in your own discomfort, breathing out ease, can change how you relate to it.
It's like you're acknowledging it, making space for it, instead of trying to pretend it's not there or squash it down. Psychologically, there's this idea of emotional processing, too, that just acknowledging emotions can make them less overwhelming.
Exactly. Trying to suppress feelings often just makes them stronger, more persistent down the line. Bringing mindful awareness allows you to actually process them, move through them more smoothly.
Then there's the Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence. Everything changes, including pain. It's all temporary. That can actually be really comforting, knowing that whatever you're facing, it won't last forever.
It gives you perspective.
Yeah.
Just like that seed has to break open, its old form has to dissolve for the new plant to grow. Our pain is also temporary. Breaking down old ways of being is often how new beginnings happen.
Nelson Mandela's resilience, all those years in prison, that really drives it home. He held onto the knowledge that his suffering wouldn't last forever. That conviction gave him strength.
Yes.
Even just reminding ourselves, this too shall pass when things are rough. That simple phrase can be surprisingly powerful.
Absolutely. It roots us in the reality that change is constant. Even the sharpest pain will eventually shift and something else will come.
So this brings us to the idea of the alchemy of pain actively transforming suffering into strength. The image used is the lotus flower growing in the mud. Such a beautiful symbol for that kind of transformation.
It really captures it perfectly, doesn't it? The lotus becomes beautiful, not despite the mud, but because of it. The muck, the difficulty, those are the nutrients that feed its amazing bloom.
And it makes you think about your own life, those times you felt totally broken.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, you can often see the strength or the resilience or some deeper understanding that actually came from that very experience.
Precisely. It's about seeing that those hard times, painful as they were also formative. They taught us things we wouldn't have learned otherwise, showed us strengths we didn't know we had.
And we have a choice in how we frame that story, right? Viktor Frankl again, with tragic optimism finding meaning even when suffering is unavoidable. That feels connected to the Buddhist idea of karma, too, taking responsibility for our reality through our choices, our intentions.
It really emphasizes our agency, doesn't it? Even when things feel out of control. We might not control the circumstances, but we always have a choice in how we respond. And that choice makes all the difference in how we experience pain, and whether it transforms us.
That practical exercise mentioned, making 2 columns, writing down challenges in one and potential lessons or opportunities in the other, that seems like a really concrete way to shift your mindset, from feeling like a victim to feeling more empowered.
It's a tool for actively reframing, yeah. Looking for those hidden chances to learn and grow. Not to dismiss the pain, but to find meaning and purpose right there within it.
And this personal healing journey, it's not just for us, is it? It often creates ripples. Our own transformation can end up inspiring change in others. Malala Yousafzai is such a striking example, turning her trauma into a global movement for education. That courage is contagious.
It really is. When we do our own healing work, we often become beacons of hope for people around us. Our resilience shows others what's possible, even when things are incredibly difficult.
And that connects to Bodhisattva, the awakened heart mind in Buddhism. The idea that my liberation, my healing, is tied up with everyone else's well-being. So when I tend to my own pain, I'm actually contributing to healing the wider world too.
Exactly. It highlights how interconnected we all are. Our personal growth has a significance beyond just ourselves.
So finally, some practical tools for this everyday alchemy. Cultivating equanimity, maybe using that ocean visualization, practicing self-inquiry, asking, who am I beyond this pain? And acts of generosity, Dana.
It's interesting how those practices work together. Equanimity helps us stay steady through life's ups and downs. Self-inquiry leads us to deeper self-understanding beneath the surface stories. And generosity shifts our focus from our own lack or struggle towards contributing to others, which fosters a sense of abundance.
So the big takeaway here seems to be that pain, as tough as it is, can actually be our greatest teacher. A sort of whisper from deep inside, nudging us towards growth, towards waking up.
Yes, probably.
Calling us to engage with it, listen to what it's trying to tell us, and find the path to healing that's hidden within it.
It's about understanding that we're not fundamentally broken. We're maybe breaking open, shedding old layers, old beliefs, making space for something new to grow. If we can trust that process, even when it's uncomfortable, we might just find ourselves emerging wiser, stronger, and, well, more radiant on the other side of pain.